Welcome students. In this lecture we are going to learn about one-dimensional heat equation with zero boundary conditions, and we are going to see a few examples how to solve such problems. Before starting the mathematical portion exactly, let us have a glimpse on few examples where heat conduction plays a major role in our day-to-day life. So here are a few examples. You can see the radiation takes place and the heat conduction, how it varies between the windows and the doors here. Similarly in cooking, and here in the body heat radiation, how it is taking place. Similarly in cellulosic fiber, the heat flow, how it happens, and in tube heat exchanger. Similarly here, these are famous examples what we are actually using every day: flask and iron box. And the next is in food processing, heat conduction plays a vital role. And next is in laser, we study about heat radiation and the convection. Similarly, this is manufacturing diode laser by laser line, and similarly this is an example of equipment in photochemistry. The next is laser welding. In laser welding also heat plays a major role. Similarly in laser therapy, the heat conduction is very important to observe. So if we observe, there are many examples in real life where heat conduction plays a vital role, and studying the flow of heat is very much essential. So that is why we study all these in your engineering courses. So now let us have a glimpse on how the heat flow equation is discovered and how we are going to solve using mathematical tools. So now let us take a rod. You can observe here, if you have a rod of length L, you can observe the heat flow along this particular direction along the x-axis, that is the horizontal position of the rod. Let us take as x-axis exactly. And so this one end of the rod is taken as the origin. The other end of the rod will be, of course, x equal to L if the length of the rod is L. And assuming that the rod is maintained at zero temperature at both the ends and given some initial temperature, how the heat flow varies along each and every point of the rod. So this is a major problem we are going to solve in this particular section. Now before going to the derivation of the one-dimensional heat flow, there are few empirical laws which we need to assume to derive the heat equation, and these are the laws. So the first one, heat flows from higher to lower temperature. The second is the amount of heat required to produce a given temperature change will be proportional to the mass of the body, and the temperature change, this constant, is actually the specific heat. And the next is about the thermal conductivity. The rate at which the heat flows through an area is proportional to the area and to the temperature gradient normal to the area. So that is actually the thermal conductivity. And the fourth one is the Fourier law of heat conduction, which actually is the rate at which the heat flows across an area at a distance from one end of a rod, and it is given by this. So assuming all these empirical laws, the one-dimensional heat equation is derived as dou u by dou t equal to alpha squared dou squared u by dou x squared. So if you observe this particular equation is called one-dimensional heat equation. So here the variable u represents the temperature at x comma t. So here x and t are independent variables, where x is the distance and t is the time. And this constant alpha squared is given by k by s rho centimeter squared by second, and this is known as constant of diffusivity, where k is the thermal conductivity, s is the specific heat, and rho is the density. And using the method of separation of variables, we solve this heat equation and we get three different solutions like this. So these are the three possible solutions of one-dimensional heat equation. And the last one, when you observe, it is known as the steady state solution, which is independent of time. Among this, we need to select that particular solution which is going to be most suitable for heat conduction. So that is going to be the second one, because when you take the first solution, as t tends to infinity, if you substitute t infinity here, e power infinity will be infinity. So u also will be infinity, which is against the law of thermodynamics. So solution 1 cannot be the correct solution. Similarly, solution 3 also does not have time. So that also will not be the correct solution. So hence the correct solution is actually solution 2, which is this. Okay. Now let us proceed to solve a particular problem. So let us take this problem. A rod of length L has its ends A and B kept at 0 degrees Celsius and 100 degrees Celsius under steady state condition. If the temperature at B is suddenly reduced to 0 and kept so while that of A is maintained, evaluate the temperature distribution at any point of the rod and at any time. Okay. If you observe this problem, so there are two different states they are explaining. One is a steady state. Then after steady state, some sudden change is happening. So after that, the steady state will be changed to unsteady state, or it can be called as transient state. So in this problem, there are two states first of all. One is steady state and the other is transient state. So let us see what happens in steady state. So that is the first sentence they had mentioned. Until steady state, what are the temperatures of the rod maintained at the two ends A and B? 0 degrees Celsius and 100 degrees Celsius. So that's what we have written here. At A 0 degrees Celsius, at B 100 degrees Celsius. So this temperature is denoted by U. So here U denotes the temperature. This is steady state. Now after steady state, something happens. If the temperature at B is suddenly reduced to 0. So if you observe here, B is reduced to 0 and kept so while that of A is maintained. So A is maintained. So here A is having zero temperature. So in transient also it is having 0 temperature. This is the next state, which is called transient state or unsteady state. So steady state means the temperature will be only function of x. It will not have time. But in transient state, U will be function of both x and t. So now let us find the temperature in the steady state. This is the solution of the steady state temperature. You can observe here. So the last is the steady state solution, C1x plus C2. So you write C1x plus C2 with the boundary conditions U of 0, 0, U of L 100. Where you get this? This is U of 0 is 0. U of L, when x is L, U is 100. So that's what we have written. Now apply the first one, U of 0. Put x equal to 0. So the answer is C2, that is equal to 0. Now U of L. What is U of L? C1L plus C2, because put x equal to L. C1L plus C2. This is given as 100. So from here you can substitute the value of C2 and you will get the answer of C1 as 100 by L. So now substituting C1 answer and C2 answer in this U of x, you get U of x equal to 100x by L. But when you observe, this 100x by L will be the steady state solution and it will be the starting solution of the transient state. Because suppose if we have first 3 hours as steady state and the transient state starts at 4th hour. So till the end of the 3rd hour, the temperature will be 100x by L. And this will be the starting temperature or the initial temperature for the unsteady state. Unsteady means transient state. Okay, now let us go to the transient state where the temperature will be function of both x and t. So now we have to start as a new problem. So the first we have to write one-dimensional heat equation, which is given by this, where U is the temperature, x is the distance and t is the time. Next we need to write the correct solution. So this is the correct solution we saw in the theory portion. And consider this is the transient state. So what are the boundary conditions of the transient state? U of 0, t 0. That is when x is 0, U is 0. When x is L, so at this end the temperature is 0. So when x is L, U is 0. So U of L, t 0. And the last is U of x, 0, which is the initial temperature, because the word initial means time 0. So U of x, 0 is given by the temperature of the steady state is actually the initial temperature for the transient state. So that we have to write. So now let us apply these three boundary conditions one by one. So apply the first one, U of 0, t 0. So where you have correct solution, this is the correct solution. So take and write the correct solution and put x equal to 0. When you put x equal to 0 here, sin 0, 0, cos 0, 1. So the first answer is C1 into e power minus alpha square p square t. You have to equate that to 0. Right side is 0. When you put 0, so C1 into this equal to 0. So it gives C1 equal to 0. So this is the first result. Similarly, apply the second result. Second boundary condition. U of L comma T 0. What's the meaning of U of L comma T? Putting x equal to L. So take again the correct solution. Here already we have got C1 0. So substitute C1 0. So you have only C2 sin P x. In the place of x you have to put now L. So if you put x as L, you get C2 sin PL into this e power term equal to 0. You should apply equal to 0. So now here, this is having variable we should not touch. So C2 sin PL 0. So C2 0 or sin PL 0. But if you take C2 0, already C1 0. So if C2 also 0 means the entire answer of U will become 0, which is actually a trivial solution. But we need a non-trivial solution. So what has to be 0? The other possibility, sin PL has to be 0. Sin PL 0. But we know sin n pi 0. So comparing these two, PL equal to n pi or P equal to n pi by L. So now this answer we have to substitute in the correct solution. So totally we have got two results, C1 0 and P equal to n pi by L. These two results we have to substitute and we have to generalize the solution, because the third boundary condition now, the third boundary condition we have to apply, which is a non-zero boundary condition. So before applying any non-zero boundary condition, we need to generalize. So how to generalize? Substitute these two in the correct solution. This is the correct solution. Put C1 0 and P equal to n pi by L. So if you put C1 0 and P equal to n pi by L, you will get like this. Yeah. Here, write this constant generally as Cn and allow n from 1 to infinity. So you have U of x comma t is Cn sin n pi x by L, and we have to put sigma n equal to 1 to infinity. So you will have sigma n equal to 1 to infinity. Of course, here sigma should come n equal to 1 to infinity. Sin n pi x by L e power minus term. This is called the most general solution. Here we need to put sigma n equal to 1 to infinity is missing. You have to put here sigma n equal to 1 to infinity. Now in this most general solution, apply the third boundary condition. So this is the third boundary condition you had here. This we have to apply. So now we are going to apply this. So U of x comma 0. In this U of x comma 0, putting t 0. So when you put t 0, this e power 0 becomes 1. E power 0 is 1. So you have sigma Cn sin n pi x by L, which is equal to right side what you have 100x by L. So this is a function of x, just let us say f of x. Now if you observe this term, if you observe this, what you can observe from here? You have to relate to half range sine series, which we had already studied. Sigma bn sin n pi x by L. Is it not half range sine series? Yes, same thing. Instead of bn, here you have cn. So this bn formula you can apply here for cn. So cn equal to 2 by L, 0 to L f of x sin n pi x by L dx. What is that f of x? 100x by L. So substitute this 100x by L in the place of f of x and you have to integrate this. So how to integrate? Take this 1 by L out. So outside you have to 200, 100 taking the 100 out, 200 by L squared, and you have first term is x sin n pi x by L. So use Bernoulli's law. Keep the first, integrate the second. Minus differentiate the first, integrate the second. It goes like that. So keep the first x, integrate the second. Sin when you integrate minus cos n pi x by L by n pi by L. Minus differentiate the first one, integrate the second. So cos when you integrate sin n pi x by L. Again n pi by L will come. So n squared pi squared by L squared. Now apply the limit from 0 to L. So when you apply the limit in the place of x, when you put L, you will get cos n pi here. Here you will get sin n pi. So these are the values of cos n pi, sin n pi. And when you put x is 0, lower limit, x will be 0, 0, sin 0, 0. So upper limit minus lower limit. This is upper limit minus lower limit. So in the final answer is like this. And in the place of cos n pi, you can substitute the value of cos n pi minus 1 power n. Minus 1 power n here. And here minus 1 power n, you can write as minus 1 power totally n plus 1. So the answer of Cn you have to substitute in most general solution. So in the place of Cn, you substitute the answer of Cn, which is the final answer of the displacement of